In the previous video, we saw how to create an administration site for your models. This is the 6th video working with query set and managers. In this video, we'll first see how to create, update, retrieve and delete objects. We'll then see how to create model managers. Now that you have a fully functional administration site to manage your blog's content, it's time to learn how to retrieve information from the database and interact with it. Django comes with a powerful database abstraction API that lets you create, retrieve, update and delete objects easily. The Django Object Relational Mapper, ORM, is compatible with MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQLite and Oracle. Remember that you can define the database of your project by editing the database's setting in the settings.py file of your project. Django can work with multiple databases at a time, and you can even program database routers that handle the data in any way you like. Once you've created your data models, Django gives you a free API to interact with them. You can find the data model reference of the official documentation at this link. Now let's create objects. Open the terminal and run the command to open the Python shell. We then need to import the library. Type this command for it. Enter the lines of code as shown. Enter the user, and then the post. As you can see, one more post is added. Let's analyze what this code does. First, we retrieve the user object that has the username admin. The get method allows you to retrieve a single object from the database. Note that this method expects one result that matches the query. If no results are returned by the database, this method will raise the does not exist exception, and if the database returns more than one result, it will raise a multiple object returned exception. Both exceptions are attributes of the model class that the query is being performed on. Then we create a post instance with a custom title, slug and body. And we set the user we previously retrieved as author of the post. This object is in memory and is not persisted to the database. Finally, we save the post object to the database using the save method. This action performs an insert SQL statement behind the scenes. We have seen how to create an object in memory first and then persist it to the database, but we can also create the object into the database directly using the create method as shown. Now let's update objects. First, we need to change the title of the post into something different and save the object again. We need to use this code for that. This time, the save method performs an update SQL statement. The changes you make to the objects are not persisted to the database until you call the save method. Next, we need to retrieve objects. The Django Object Relational Mapping, ORM, is based on query set. A query set is a collection of objects from your database that can have several filters to limit the results. You already know how to retrieve a single object from the database using the get method. As you've seen, we have accessed this method using the post.objects.get method. Each Django model has at least one manager, and the default manager is called objects. You get a query set object by using your model's manager. To retrieve all objects from a table, you just use the all method on the default objects manager with the help of this code. This is how we create a query set that returns all objects from a database. Note that this query set has not been executed yet. Django query sets are lazy. They are only evaluated when they are forced to do it. This behavior makes query sets very efficient. If we don't set the query set to a variable but instead write it directly on the Python shell, the SQL statement of the query set is executed because we force it to output the results. So we need to type this command to retrieve the objects. We'll now see how to use the filter method. To filter a query set, you can use the filter method of the manager. For example, we can retrieve all posts published in the year 2016 using this query set. You can also filter by multiple fields. For example, we can retrieve all posts published in 2016 by the author with the username admin using this code. This equals to building the same query set, chaining multiple filters with the help of this code. Here we can see that the username admin has not published anything in 2015. But if you look for the same in the year 2016, it will give you the same output. As you can see here, there are 3 posts published. We're building queries with field lookup methods using two underscores, publish__year. But we're also accessing fields of related models using two underscores, author__username. Let's now see how to use the exclude method. You can exclude certain results from your query set using the exclude method of the manager. For example, we can retrieve all posts published in 2016 whose titles don't start by Y. We can use this command for that. We'll now use the order by method. You can order results by different fields using the order by method of the manager. For example, you can retrieve all objects ordered by their title. Ascending order is implied. You can indicate descending order with a negative sign prefix, as you can see here. We'll now delete objects. If you want to delete an object, you can do it from the object instance using this command. Use the delete method to delete the objects. You can see that the first post has been deleted. Note that deleting objects will also delete any dependent relationships. So, what happens when the query set are evaluated? You can concatenate as many filters as you like to a query set, and you will not hit the database until the query set is evaluated. Query sets are only evaluated in the cases shown. The first time you iterate over them, when you slice them, for instance, post.objects.all ratio 3, when you pickle or cache them, when you call repr or length method on them, when you explicitly call this method on them, when you test it in a statement such as bool, or, and, or if. Now let's create model managers. As we previously mentioned, objects is the default manager of every model, which retrieves all objects from a database. But we can also define custom managers for our models. We're going to create a custom manager to retrieve all posts with a published status. There are two ways to add managers to your models. You can add extra manager methods or modify initial manager query sets. The first one turns up something like post.objects.my_manager and the latter like post.mymanager.all. Our manager will allow us to retrieve posts using post.published. Edit the models.py file of your blog application to add the custom manager to it using this code. You need to add this code to the models.py file. getQuerySet is the method that returns the query set to be executed. We use it to include our custom filter in the final query set. We've defined our custom manager and added it to the post model. We can now use it to perform queries. For example, we can retrieve all published posts whose title starts with who using this code. Brilliant! So in this video we've dealt with query set and managers. In our next video we'll build list and detail views.